Can you say all that over
Just
again?
keep it
Yeah,
recording.
just like keep it rolling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you say the exact everything you just said that was
Oh
not
my
recorded?
gosh,
Just say it
I'll
again,
try. Okay.
verbatim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will. I'm gonna wind back my memory, and just reread it. No, so we were just chatting about how the engineers at Cold Chain select their materials
Mm.
and then create a new design for a new product. Like when a customer comes to us and asks us to work with them. So, from an engineering design group standpoint, we generally have a list of established materials that we work with for insulation. We have EPS, expanded polystyrene. We have polyurethane, which we generally might converse or call PUR.
Mm-hmm.
We have vacuum insulated panels. We also are moving towards green insulation types made of paper, different type of paper products that are curbside recyclable. So
Right.
all of those are sort of on the table on the list of installations that we can pull from. And then we have our full catalog of PCM materials for all the different temperature ranges and conditioning scenarios that are available to us. So as an engineer in the design engineering department, we do try to pull from those pre-existing items. If we can't solve the problem in that way, we would go to R&D and they might help develop perhaps a lower temperature salt water solution that is targeted at a specific temperature we don't already have, for example. Or a PCM for controlled room temp, like a higher temperature we don't already have.
Right.
So our R&D department would heavily support us in that once we've given them those requirements, the design requirements for that. We might also work with the simulation team who will help us to specifically min-max the exact thickness of insulation that we're going to want for that particular solution. We're looking at how much PCM, of which type of PCM, because often our solutions require multiple types of PCM conditioned to multiple temperatures. Sometimes some of them go in at room temperature versus a fridge temperature or frozen temperature. And our simulation team is wonderful about presenting some theoretical options that we can then take into the thermal lab to test out. Taking what the R&D department gives us and what the simulation team gives us for guidance, we then try to make sure we're using pre-existing parts to help minimize complexity and timelines that we're developing. So we want to make sure we're not having to develop a whole new part number, because then our customer has to wait for that part number to be ready to sell versus just using something that we would have in inventory in a regular production schedule anyway. So we do try to do that, keeping in mind it might not be the best solution for cost or performance. And then, we just work from there. So it's like an iterative process for engineering to develop through that. And it is a team effort, as always. Not one person can do it all. We have to work as a group, even within engineering. We have multiple specialties that are coming together to develop those designs. And then we have like team members from purchasing. We have team members from sales or stakeholders at a business level that we're working with to make sure that we're developing the best possible solution for the customer at the end of the day. So yeah.
No, I think that's the coolest thing about this company is that there are so many different people with different roles, and they're constantly churning away on, again, new material ideas or hearing feedback from the customer on how to improve the system, the solution, make it easier for them, to make it easier for the end patient, or distribution network. So it's just so interesting to hear all of the different facets that go into not just making a shipping solution, manifest in reality, but
it's not just a box,
right?
Anymore, right? When you start having these conversations, like it's not just a box anymore.
Oh, not at all. Yeah. It's everything behind it. The digital solutions that we're getting into, again, like we're thinking about beyond the box itself, or how to, have it, give it a second life.
We're definitely doing a lot of focus on curbside recycling or return reuse, where almost like printer cartridges.
Right.
You have a label you slap on it and it goes back into distribution so that it is being used multiple times before it needs to be thrown away. Because a lot of shipping containers in general, like you think Amazon, like you get a a box is used one time. If you're good about recycling, maybe it goes back and it becomes another product later, but a lot of times those items end up in the landfill.
Yeah.
So it's just, shipping components are often single time use, and we at Cold Chain have been doing more and more over the years to focus on how to either make it easy to recycle those materials or get them back into distribution like a second, third, fifth, 12th time before they're finally retired.
Yeah, circular economy, which is definitely something like our European group is focusing on. So, let's also just talk about kind of the day in the life of Amanda Longley at CCT.
Okay, so as a managing test engineer now, I start my day meeting with all of our project leads, which are mostly engineers, but some of them are like very, very senior, like lab tech positions who have worked here for many, many years and can independently run non-design based products. So we meet all together every morning and we go over like what everybody needs from the lab for that day. And I make sure that my 4 lab techs know what's going on. Everyone works out what they're going to work on for the day, and the lab runs smoothly from that point forward, always, every time. You know, but actually, like, you know, just starting our day that way really does help to create kind of some cohesion with the group. So if things do change, we have a very clear communication paths so that we can remain agile and be able to react and support last minute requests, questions, like, because those kinds of things are always happening, right? Everywhere, anywhere you work, those kinds of things happen. Then generally I am running my own projects quite a bit of the time. I generally have anywhere between like 3 and 15 projects, depending on their complexity. And so I'm checking in on all of those, making sure all my materials are flowing into the lab when we expect them to get there or need them to get there based on test plans and customer deadlines. And then I, checking on active testing that's going on lab, like I do, go in and check temperatures like a nurse. Like what's your temp check? What are your vitals looking like today on this test? And just making sure I'm communicating that out to my stakeholders, either in sales or in maybe the department manager or us in
marketing, product managing.
Whoever needs that information, whoever my stakeholders are. I mean, like, okay, we're 48 hours into the test and this is what it's looking like. And like, you can maybe stop holding your breath now. Like everything's looking really great. And then the tests that have completed, I grab that data, I process that data, I produce what we call preliminary data analysis documents, send those out to my stakeholders, schedule meetings to meet with them, have the meetings that have been scheduled previously, and in general, just trying to keep all of my projects, all those plates spinning for those. Then I'm generally meeting with my 4 lab techs to provide each of them with career development, one-on-one time, working on either their computer skills, their documentation skills, their project management skills, training them how to use our internal software a little bit, so they each get a little bit of time every week, maybe not every day, but every week I'm working with them to make sure that I'm always increasing their knowledge and skills. Like everyday learners, lifelong learners, just making sure that I am improving them as just general team contributors.
I think that's phenomenal. Yeah.
So I work with them on those things, and then in general, like checking in on what the project leads have completed or what they might need, what they have coming back. So very occasionally resolving problems. Like I wouldn't even say I have to resolve conflicts that often, thankfully. But when hiccups happen or miscommunications happen, I do spend some of my days like ironing those out, figuring out. And then I always try to focus as well, not like, oh, this is what happened this time, XYZ, we need to do this to like quote unquote fix it or address it. But how do we make it not happen again in the future? I have a strong background in Lean Sigma. I have a green belt. I love 5S. It's like my favorite thing in the whole world. And so I am like pouring that into my department as well, just so that we just try to make it a little bit incremental change, make it a little bit better for next time as well. So I'd say like that's in a nutshell my day. A fair amount of it is focused on just my individual projects, but I really, really do strive to just generally improve my overall department, my individual team members, and the quality of work that they're producing.
Yeah, which is something that every department here is always focused on, is continuous improvement. So, and I love that you're always educating the people that you're working with too, which is great to hear that they're not only picking up new skills, they're picking up new tips of the trade. They're becoming valuable members of our team here at CCT. So I think that's wonderful.
I need my lab techs to understand as much as they can about what we do, so that they can identify and ask questions like, oh, this seems like maybe not quite right, or we did it the last 3 times, it was this way.
Yeah.
Like, why is this time different? And usually we have a reason, because if we're testing something in the lab, like we're testing it because it's different. We're not like QA, which I very deeply respect. They do like repeated testing over and over again. Like they run the same tests over and over again to make sure our production products are meeting specific quality requirements and standards. In the lab, it's sort of the opposite. We're always testing something new. We're not repeating tests. If we're repeating a test, like it wouldn't be quite right, because like we're developing and engineering things. So almost every test that we run is going to be an independent new test. There's going to be something different about it. And so I try to work with my lab techs so they understand that, but I don't want them to just accept everything as is. So I'm trying to educate them enough to ask intelligent questions, and they all can do that.
It's very important.
Yeah.
I don't know, funny stories that may have happened in the lab, something that you can remember.
I mean, so as far as like the actual day-to-day project work, like we do keep it very boring, because we want it to be routine and we want things to go smoothly, and our test to be trustworthy and like, come out like as expected, right? So when it comes to the actual work, we are very boring, and there aren't really any fun stories in the lab. But my team is hilarious. I fully encourage them to joke around with each other, to come up with their own little personality quirks, or I don't know, like interactions or things that they're known for. They love changing the name tags around to kind of like prank people and confuse people. We occasionally print fake name tags on 3D printers, like at home, and then like swap them out, and then we see how long it takes people to notice.
That's great.
Like in Pig Latin, someone's name, like or just swap, like I don't know,
first and last name,
something, or just move someone's name tag somewhere else, and just see how long it takes people to notice. We also have a lot of cat memes like hidden around the lab, sort of as Easter eggs. Obviously, it doesn't affect our test results at all, but like it's a fun little thing, especially if we get a new team member, to wait for them to discover these kinds of things. So, and then we often come up with our own unofficial names for stuff, as I'm sure almost every company or department anywhere does. So we come up with like fun names for different types of tests that we're running. We occasionally name them for or in the honor of employees that we're in. Like we came up with like a physical test we do often. We call it basketball for Matt, who's one of our most prankstery type lab techs. Cool. So we just kind of, like, I mean, those are kind of funny things that happen. Like just the personalities, and like generally people being pretty content and also being comfortable enough to be open in that way.
Which is really important with a team like that.
But as far as like the lab work itself is not. Because we're safe. We follow protocols.
That's one place it's really good to be really boring.
So I think it balances it out though, because because we have to be so boring. Well, I would say boring. We have to be so responsible. Right. We're very responsible. So responsible and safe in what we do in the lab. Having a lot of big personalities and having that outlet for some creative expression really balances it and helps, I think, with the overall like morale and quality of life in this kind of industry.
And then how about something outside of work, some hobbies outside of work that you want to share?
We just talked a little bit about how I'm a quilter, a sewer. I'm also, I used to teach snowboard lessons.
Oh,
I'm a
really?
snow sports person. So like in high school, my senior year, I taught snowboard lessons, and then for a year in college, I taught snowboard lessons.
Cool.
And right now, I'm teaching my son to ski.
All right.
He's 5, so that's mostly me carrying him, like
Yeah.
picking him up off the snow. It's like more of a workout for me than teaching, but
It's probably me in a few
yeah.
years. Just me.
yeah, but it's all an investment, right? So that we can do more of it later. And like
Right.
my main goal with him is just to make sure he's having fun.
Yeah.
So he wants to come back, so
Yeah.
I can do more snow sports.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do that. I also make hollow books, which is
yeah.
like, and I use a bandsaw for that primarily, not like an X-Acto knife. I know some purists are like, you gotta cut with an X-Acto knife, but I use a bandsaw.
We saw this in the employee appreciation slides that were distributed last year, and
Yeah.
again, like these are the things that
I make hollow books, and I also really love going to the library book sales to gather my books that I'm going to hollow out.
Yeah.
And I would be like the worst. Like mine are like the worst stealth books because I always pick really ironic titles for something that you would use to hide things. Like one of my favorite ones I did was like Poison Profits.
All right.
Fast Money.
Yeah.
Like spoils of whatever, like
Yeah.
I don't know, it just tickles my funny bone like
Yeah.
that. I love picking really bad titles for books that you'd want to hide things
stuff
in.
in. No, that's great. Yeah, that was something that really stuck out to me when I saw, like I said, the employee slides. I was like, no way.
Yeah.
So
And
like,
I came on that because they're the opposite of quilting, but they still give me the same kind of zen flow
yeah.
of producing something. I put like $2 of materials into a hollow book,
Yeah.
and they take maybe a total of 30 minutes per item
Really?
to like produce. Yeah, like, it's a lot of steps. So like in general, to make a batch, it's still probably like 10 hours.
Okay.
But like if I added up the time I spent on each individual one in my own personal little nerd engineer production line that I've made up, how I do
Yeah.
my batches, is probably like about 30 minutes per item. So I'm like, I'll put in 30 minutes and like $2 or $3 in materials versus a quilt that's like $400 in materials and like 50 hours. Right. For one item. Yeah. So it just sort of balances out how much like the budget and how much I can gift to people,
Sure.
like item wise. And then I did do some craft fairs and stuff every once in a while. But now I mentioned I have a kid.
Yeah.
I've done far less hours of crafting
Right.
in the past few years. And so I'll spend like 2 to 3 hours like starting and backing up, and then I'll spend like 2 hours cutting, and then I'll start doing glue ups, and then I'll like do kind of the finished work on the interior of them because I make them fancy.
Yeah.
Put liners on them, different
Right.
colors and all kinds. So when you open it, it looks all cool.
Yeah.
And then and then I'll have like 10 done, but like it took a lot of hours to get to that.
Yeah.
10 done. But yeah, but it's nice. And like if someone would call me want to do a commission, I could finish one in like a couple days.
Yeah.
Because I could just focus on that, and I just do like 10 to 15 minutes at a 10 minutes at a time or whatever.
Sure.
And yeah, it wouldn't take that long.
Cool. I might
Yeah.
commission one.
There you
for
go.
me then.
Let me know.
I'll have to
I'd
think of
love
some cool name for
Yeah, so like
marketing.
other commissions, like someone like a friend of mine who is a math major,
Yeah.
like they had one of their favorite math books done, like their textbook. Had a friend who was giving their spouse Hamilton tickets.
Okay.
And so they like Amazon Primed me like a Hamilton book
All right.
that they just use it as a box to like
Yeah.
give a gift. One time I'm like, whatever, you're paying me the money. Like I get to do a craft.
Yeah.
It's all good. Yeah, stuff like that. And then like I said, like I've done a lot of like Reader's Digests for people that like specific year
Right.
that's important to them.
Yeah, I'm sure if somebody requests a specific book that they're like, I'm glad I am done with my law degree or something like that. And they're like,
Yeah.
I want this book to be turned into a box so I never have to read it again.
Yeah, I don't have to read it again, but also like it's still a useful
It's
item.
still useful
It's
in
not
some
just
way, yeah.
not
Yeah.
just collecting dust, but
Yeah.
like maybe I can put the remotes in it on the
Right.
coffee table,
Yeah.
and it's like a conversation starter.
Yeah. I'm
Right.
sure I've got some history books that you could saw
Yeah.
through, but
Yeah.
I want to try and keep those.
I've done like dictionaries for people.
Oh yeah.
Like a cool one that they found like at a what do you call it, like a antique store or
Yeah.
like, consignment shop or something. And then like a friend that really like was into history and I did like a biography of a certain person.
Right.
So they just you have it on the shelf and like you can see the title on it.
Yeah.
But then you also have like a little storage cubby.
Yeah.
For smaller items, like a lot of people use like remotes or
Oh yeah.
Yeah, maybe cash. I don't know.
Right.
Put whatever you want in a hollow book.
Yeah, I definitely have a duplicate history book, so I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, cool. Well, I'd be very happy to do that for you.
Sweet. All right. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me again, Amanda.
Welcome. It's been a pleasure as always.
All right. Thanks.